Hey everyone, welcome back to my third consecutive movie review here. Today I'm going to be talking about Renaissance, a film by Beyoncé, obviously written and directed by her, following her stage performance during the Renaissance 2023 World Tour, as well as giving a lot of additional behind-the-scenes making of the stagecraft and all the personal struggles and situations that follow Beyoncé throughout this process, and many, many personal anecdotes from one of the best artists of her era. And look, obviously this is the third concert movie I've reviewed this year. I mean, between this, Stop Making Sense, and Eras Tour, it's kind of a renaissance for concert films. See what I did there? That's perfect. In this one, I'll say this, when it comes to Renaissance, it is actually my least favorite Beyoncé album, which is not to say that it's bad by any means. I don't think Beyoncé has a single complete dud in her entire catalog. I just found the album itself to be lyrically a bit light compared to a lot of her, her previous couple records and what she was talking about on there. So artistically speaking, I'm not a huge fan of the sound of it, but I did love quite a few songs off of it, like Virgo's Groove, Break My Soul, obviously a huge, huge hit, and rightfully so. But, not the biggest fan of the record. But unlike something like Midnights, which I really did not like, it's one of those things where I can appreciate the songs on a very surface level. And when it comes to, because obviously, both these two great artists have come out with concert films this year. They're both at each other's premieres for the film, and seeing them support each other is really awesome and quite wonderful. But, obviously I'm going to have to compare these two very different artists, I would say, because, I enjoyed the Eras Tour, but I wasn't huge on it because I think, I love her, if you've been watching for a while, but I think Taylor Swift's discography is kind of hit or miss at certain points in certain eras of her career, you could say. And so I knew going into this, there's a bit more stuff with the background to the making of the stage show. Obviously, Beyoncé is such a powerful, powerful entertainer and musician, and so I knew that was already going to be into play, because I've already seen Homecoming, her Coachella performance, and that documentary was great as well, and I was just overwhelmed by the amount of technique and articulateness that Beyoncé throws into the stagecraft every time she goes out. So this was something I was really going to be intrigued by, whether I completely love the songs or not. And what I can tell you is this, because obviously these artists love each other, and there's not really any competition there except maybe a friendly one perhaps. But my goodness, this makes the Eras Tour looks like child's play. This is absolutely amazing, and the reason I say that specifically, because as I was saying in my review for the Eras Tour, I enjoyed the performances of these songs that I did not like on a very surface level. And here we take that up a notch, where I already enjoy the songs on a very surface level. So there's already something to like about them, but adding that visual component into this just absolutely blows the doors open and literally blows my mind. But even before all of that, after the first 5 minutes, when you see the fans come into the stadium, you see Beyoncé just standing on stage, very poised and very together, belting out Dangerously in Love too. And I was immediately hanging on to every single note that she was singing. And I'm like, okay, we are going to be in for something. And keep in mind, I was at my local theater. I believe I was the only one in the theater. It was 12 p.m. on a Sunday. And I was just in the middle, right in the middle of the theater, nearer to the front. And I was just automatically gripped And yet again, as the performance starts, it's obvious that Beyoncé really only needs her voice to command an entire stadium. I mean, obviously Beyoncé is an amazing, amazing vocalist, but this even put it over for me. Like, I appreciate her so much more now as a vocalist, maybe even a bit more than I did before. And she kind of talks about how her voice became the way it was in the documentary. And that's the other thing I love about this movie, is how it shows the countless amount of hours that Beyoncé and crew poured into making this show so spectacular. Like, this woman literally says she worked 44 days straight without a day off. And I'm just like, how can anyone even do this? And yet again, it shows how dedicated, how hardworking Beyoncé is as an artist, which is why she has proven to be so successful throughout the years. But definitely in the last 10 is when I think she really turned into this cultural force to be reckoned with, a behemoth, if you will, a titan of the industry. And the fact that she has her fingerprints and control over every single element of this production, even when people are kind of saying, oh, do you really want to do that? Her insistence truly pays off, and it truly pays off for the fans, because there's a great part where she's talking about how, you know, she used to be one of them, and she knows what that experience is like, so she wants to give the best experience for those people who came all the way to pay to see her, and give them that emotional and joyous experience that they all deserve. I just think that outlook as an artist is very, very moving and touching. And just from the first few minutes of this film, after she concludes that number and she's like talking about her family and everything that she's gone through, I was tearing up already. And this movie wasn't even 30 minutes into its running time. And then the performance started hitting, and it was just unbelievable. And unlike the Eras Tour, which was recorded on one night, this is like all over the globe, that, you know, you're getting these snippets of the show, and the way that it's cut together is absolutely phenomenal, because there's so many amazing match cuts where Beyoncé will be singing a song and then they'll cut to her in another dress and the song is still going, and it feels so seamless. You would almost think that it's one performance. And the editing here, my goodness, it's so precise, it's so artistic, it's so accented. This is one of the best edited films of the year, and I really would go as far to say that this deserves a Best Film Editing nomination at the Oscars. Like, this and Oppenheimer, I think, are the two best edited films of the year, period. And I think the other thing that's so amazing to take in consideration with that is this is like almost 3 hours long, and I cannot imagine how much footage that Beyoncé and company recorded for this. But even, I don't want to say Beyoncé's flair as a director, because obviously she's on stage and the cameras, someone's moving the cameras for her. But considering how much she conceptualized this, I have to think that a lot of these ideas were hers. And you get some really dynamic camera angles, you know, some great lighting. And not like Stop Making Sense level, but you get some great lighting and just so many things that just make this such a cinematic experience. It's more than a concert film. And I think that's what the best concert films tend to be, when they are more than that. Look, I love Martin Scorsese. You guys know this. He's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. I don't even think The Last Waltz is really done, you know, in a very outstanding way. Because look, I love Bob Dylan way more than I do Beyoncé. Bob Dylan is one of the greatest artists of all time. And he comes on stage in The Last Waltz, and he's singing, and it's great. It's Bob Dylan. And I think there's a couple of the artists in The Last Waltz I like a lot more than Beyoncé, like him and Joni Mitchell. But the thing is, what is Scorsese really doing with that film? And I get people absolutely love The Last Waltz, and I really like it, but the reason I don't quite love it is because they're just standing on stage for a lot of it. There's nothing interesting going on with the stagecraft. And maybe I was spoiled and saw Stop Making Sense before I saw The Last Waltz, and maybe it's a bit unfair to compare. But I really think if you're presenting a concert film, at least for me, it really has to go above and beyond and show something that is truly visionary. And I don't think that Martin Scorsese quite does that in The Last Waltz. But Beyoncé outdoes Martin Scorsese because of that. And also, I like this more than Killers of the Flower Moon. So she already, you know, in my book, has a better film than Martin Scorsese this year, which I never thought I'd be saying about Beyoncé. But here we are, and my goodness, yet again, even though I don't love all of these songs, it's really the performances that take this up a notch. And just so many different things when it's coming to the LCDs and how they build the image on the screen and the visuals that went into putting that together, the time and effort that went into putting that together, the money. It's absolutely insane. And just the stuff on the stage itself, the sets that she builds for this performance is unbelievable. Like there's one where like these inflatable hands come together and then they come out. And yet again, I mean, outside of all the performance stuff, this really does highlight everyone in her posse, everyone working as a collaborative team to put the Renaissance show together, and very much a celebration of, you know, black womanhood, queerness, and everybody in her circle and all their diverse backgrounds, how they got there. And as much as I don't love the Renaissance album, you know, it's very clear that Beyoncé wanted to make something that was for everybody, and with this concert, make a safe space for fans to really come to and kind of celebrate love and celebrate each other. And it's truly, truly a beautiful thing. And you get a lot, too, about, you know, like there's a whole section where she goes back to Houston, her hometown, and you get a little bit of that. And then she's talking about her Uncle Johnny, which, you know, has now been coined in that iconic phrase, Uncle Johnny did my dress. And you get, you know, very, very personal anecdotes that add a lot of emotion to this, because as opposed to something like Stop Making Sense, there's emotional component here that I don't think even that film quite has. And there's even a whole subplot with Blue Ivy coming on stage, and the thing that I love about that is you can see, unlike some other celebrity power couples with kids, you can see that Beyoncé is truly trying to instill these values of hard work and persistence in her children. And I think obviously, you know, Blue Ivy wouldn't be where she was if she wasn't Beyonce's daughter, but the fact that she is still instilling these values in her children, I think speaks volumes to her as a person as well. And I thought that that was part of the film was really, really moving, but so many great surprise appearances as well. Kendrick Lamar, it was awesome when he came out. I was like pumping my fist. Diana Ross, my goodness, when Diana Ross came on stage, I was in tears, really. Like, it was such a beautiful moment seeing these two very vastly separated generations of music, these two musical icons coming together for such a beautiful moment. I just absolutely loved so many things about this film, but it's really the performances of these songs, and, you know, Beyonce's doing so many things. It's unbelievable how she's able to juggle all of this. And then she's on stage, like, breaking out these sick dance moves and shaking her ass like there's no tomorrow. It's just unbelievable how talented this woman is, and that's why that this is a new standard for concert films that we really should be setting for everything to come after, because genuinely speaking, I think this is probably the best concert movie of all time that I've seen after Stop Making Sense. And if I'm judging it on the same criteria, obviously I already said I don't love all of the songs, so, and, you know, that's part of the reason why I didn't give Stop Making Sense a perfect 10 out of 10. There's a couple of moments here that weren't particularly for my taste, you could say. And yet again, that's probably me nitpicking, so I completely admit that that might just be a personal thing. But also, I will have to say that, you know, this is almost 3 hours long, and it does a very good job of wrapping you up in the scope of the concert and moving you with this crowd and moving you in your seat. I mean, literally, the speakers were thumping in the theaters, shaking my ass. I mean, really, it's just unbelievable, the sound in this film, but also, it does feel a bit too long. Because, look, Stop Making Sense is like an hour 20 something minutes, so, you know, it goes by like a clip. But this definitely, you know, takes some moments and, you know, dips back and forth, especially when we're going back to the personal stuff, which I do love overall, but you definitely feel a little bit of a pacing issue. But then again, I mean, the way they're still able to, you know, conclude this by the end and just leave you in absolute awe, I think is very much a power that I have to give this film credit for, because it's really hard to keep someone consistently engaged and entertained and dazzled for, you know, 3 hours of just music and live performance. But this truly is something I could see myself raising this in the future, even if I watch this again. But genuinely speaking, I did not expect at least fully, that Renaissance would be one of the best cinematic experiences that I've had all year. I mean, this is crazy. I think it goes without saying that this is one of my absolute favorite films of 2023 so far, and I'm going to give Renaissance, a film by Beyoncé, a 9 out of 10, a very high one at that. Yet again, won't be surprised if this makes my top 10 of the year, which I'm so happy to say, because leave it to someone like Beyoncé, an artist so attentive to detail and so concerned with putting out the best product that she possibly can and creating such a celebration of so many people from so many different backgrounds. This is an absolute triumph of a film. And if you're a fan of Beyoncé, you absolutely have to go see it. And even if you're not, just please give it a chance, because when I watched Homecoming, I wasn't listening to any Beyoncé yet, and I still love that, and maybe I'd love it even more if I watched it again. But this is just so incredible. And yeah, a lot of it are the Renaissance songs, but I mean, of course they're going to play Crazy in Love, you know, like there's no way that they weren't going to do that. And you do get some iconic Beyoncé hits from the years past, but I just think it doesn't even matter if the performances weren't up to snuff. And yet again, everybody's firing off on all cylinders in this, and it's an absolute must-watch. It is well worth the $22 to sit your ass in the theater and see this. Please go support Queen Bee. Please go support cinemas. I mean, the fact that Beyoncé won the box office last weekend with only like 20-something million is a little concerning, you know, considering all the other great movies that have come out in the last week, and the fact that, you know, this is Beyoncé we're talking about. I know Taylor Swift is going to make more money just because she has a broader appeal, but really I think the film that you should absolutely go see in theaters is Renaissance. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on Renaissance. Let me know what you think in the comments down below of this film if you've seen it, and of Beyoncé in general. I don't think there's any way that after seeing this you can say she's overrated, because this genuinely shows that she's one of the hardest working people in show business, period. And I don't think anyone can take that away from her. And smash the like button, and subscribe to the channel also if you're new here for the first time. Going to bring another movie review to you guys within the next day or so here with Todd Haynes' May December, which is one that I've been hearing great things about ever since the Cannes Film Festival, and I cannot wait to talk about Todd Haynes on this channel for the very first time. So please be on the lookout for that. And until the next video, I'll talk to you guys later.